All right, it's 4 o'clock. We'll get the Municipal Facilities Committee meeting moving forward. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for June 27th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is the Marina Steps update, and we'll turn that over to staff for a presentation.
All right, good evening. So tonight's item, the Marina Steps project update. So just wanted to give a quick update on the Marina Steps, and I've provided some renderings as well as one of the civil sheets for your reference on the project. The last sheet's is the paving plan. It kind of shows the layout overlaid on some of the existing aspects of the area down there. So with that, so where we're at on the steps currently, we've completed the 60% design. We're working through 90% plans right now. We've been provided the 90% plans, and we're working back and forth with the design team, providing comments and meeting with them on a regular basis to go over some of the details of the plans themselves. Moving on, the team recently received some news on the project that we will receive a stormwater grant that will cover expenses related to implementing the bioretention swales. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Did you say we did? Or did
Yes, we did. Yeah. Yep. So that is up to about $500,000. We don't have kind of the final details of that, and eventually we will bring that grant to the council for acceptance. So other than that, we are continuing to coordinate with PSE for underground utilities. As I mentioned before, this is a high priority item, and we do not want that to impact the projected construction timeline. So things right now are going pretty well with PSE. We're in discussions with them basically on a daily basis right now to work through those undergrounding plans on the project. So based on some of the public input at the public forum, we've incorporated into the renderings that I've provided some play elements, specifically the play area going up the side of the north side of the steps, as well as a spray park kind of down in the pavilion area. So that's what you're seeing there. And tonight, for the future council items, we've got an amended task assignment with the design consultant, and so that will include funding considerations for further design and refinement of the spray area, the park area, as I mentioned before, the undergrounding of utilities along Cliff Avenue, and in this rendering too on the first sheet, there's the red, basically where there's existing PSE poles right now, and so the project would remove those and underground that. Yeah, we didn't, we thought about the optics of having those existing poles up there, and yeah, it wouldn't look, yeah.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Are you, I see the rendering here, would be the, I guess, the north side of it. Are you setting the stage for a crosswalk up to what was be Overlook 2 and then Sound View?
So there'll be a crosswalk at the top of the steps, but not further, I guess, to the north on Cliff Avenue. Because there's not really a pedestrian path along the west side of Cliff Avenue. So pedestrians would cross at the top of the steps, and that gives the best, like...
You're diverting them to the sidewalk.
Yeah. And gives the best sight lines. That's why we located at that location.
Well, the hope is a lot more people will go down the steps or the switchbacks rather than down Cliff Avenue anyway.
Will there, Councilman Roxter, are there any questions?
Yes. Okay, so the area that you've added then is the parks part, and this was, based on information that you received at the open house.
Right.
So the public actually hasn't had an opportunity to review your proposal here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and this is in proximity. We can imagine that there are going to be a lot of kids, a lot of noise generated by kids having fun, that sort of thing and everything, which is right next to the condo complex here. Would it not be appropriate for us to take this back to the public and find out if this matches what their desires were, and gain comment from the condos as far as potential impact it may have on them? I mean, I don't think we're not on a timeline here, are we?
I mean, we want to, right now our construction timeline is to get this project completed and out to bid sometime this fall, so that we could construct this potentially late fall, but likely, more than likely starting next spring.
Okay, but that's our timeline. That's not we don't have any grant or any other deadlines that are.
There are some ARPA funds.
Yeah, that's correct. We have ARPA funding that needs to be allocated by the end of the year for this project specifically. But I also wanted to point out that these renderings are substantially similar to what was previously provided at the public forum. Really, the difference is the crosswalks, right? And removing the poles up top. But the previous plans had the playground piece going up the side. It also had the water park.
Right.
Okay,
So that's not new.
but these are the refined. It was very conceptual before. Now we're talking about an actual design.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know that the public before was, they liked the concept. Okay, what are you actually building? I think that's important, and I think that on all of our projects, it's extremely important that we don't, take an initial agreement to proceed as being the be-all to end-all. That at some point when we come up and we refine these designs and everything, I think we need to go back to the public and say, okay, does this meet your expectations? Is this what you intended? And if there are okay, you say the ARPA funds that would have to be expended, isn't the deadline 2026?
We have to allocate them by 2024. So that would mean we need to be under contract.
Okay, so then between now and, we would have to be under contract, or we would have to have the plan in place that,
We need to be under contract, which
Okay.
is why we're trying to get this out to bid.
okay, so this is July. We still have 5 months. We still have an opportunity to go back out and talk to the public.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to agree on this, but I'll just say that, and that's fine. What is, at some point when we hand this over to the engineers, they're designing it based on what can be built, and so we're kind of past the public input point. We've been getting public input for what, 4 years now?
Yeah.
So at this point, we're at the 60%, almost to the 90% design piece. So the input from the public, I mean, theoretically, yes, we could put this out on our website or something like that, ask for comments, but we're not going to be redesigning this piece at this point in the project.
Even if the public doesn't agree with it.
Well, this is what they asked for.
Well, it's what they asked for, but they didn't see this. Okay, and I bring this up, and I'm going to go a little bit off here. It goes into the situation with the proposed memorial at Marineview Drive and Des Moines Memorial Drive. And the issues, I understand, and I haven't seen any of the results, but there was public feedback. And I heard, incidentally, from the interim Public Works Director that there was going to be substantial changes based on the public's input. Okay, so if we don't have specific input on what we're doing here, are we running the danger of, doing something here that is contrary to what the public actually wants?
Well, this is based on what the public wanted. I think that would be our position. That would be my position.
That was what was proposed to the public, that's what they agreed on.
Yeah.
And so these are the 60% to 90% drawings that were what the public wanted. So we'll move on. My question is, are the, removing the light poles, is that gonna create, I mean, we've heard over the years that I've been on council about lighting and darkness. Is that going to create, less lighting in that area, or are we gonna replace that with something else?
So you're talking about the PSC poles? Yeah, we'll be replacing those with actual like street lighting poles. Yeah. So the utility poles with the power will come down and we'll replace it with street lighting.
Very good. Any other comments?
Yeah, you know, more of the detail we're getting, but it's, as the public, the impressions you gave, the feedback, I see this being the visualize of what I saw the consensus being. I think it's great. I think families and everybody, it's gonna be a great place. It is, every town has a gathering point, and this is it. It always has been and always will be. And this will be something that will be fantastic for the families. I thought what you guys have done here is just given us even a clearer picture of what it is. And nothing here surprised me. In fact, you know, I'm excited. I think on a day like today, and I just want to visualize, you got kids and families down there in that spray park, and then access to the so forth. It wouldn't matter where we put it if there's kids, you know, if people are against kids screaming and having a good time, then, you know, then they got to deal with that. But this is exactly what I thought I'd see, and I love it, and I fully support it.
One last thing I did want to mention as well is that you brought up is over in this area, kind of screening for the condos. That's definitely something that we did look at, and that's why there is some significant landscaping and trees shown along the north side there to kind of screen those condos from sound and everything else.
Councilmember Oxender.
Okay, the other concern I have is that on a project of this magnitude, and this is, I believe, coming in at between $8 and $9 million, have we done an ROI on this?
Like turn on
How much
investment?
money are we gonna make by building a park? Is that the question?
Or how much it's going to cost us?
Well, that would be the estimate, the 8 to 9 million.
Okay, well, but the issue is that, okay, what is the zoning on parcel A? This slops into parcel A. What is the zoning on parcel A?
I'm not sure.
I believe it's commercial retail. Okay, so by putting this parking here, we're taking out a substantial portion of commercial retail property that's available in the marina area. Do we have any idea what, you know, what impact that will have in removing that element?
I'm new to the project,
Mhm.
Councilmember, so I just give you what my two thoughts are, because I've
Okay.
been driving to this project and other projects, and I played a pretty significant role in Tacoma's downtown,
Mhm.
and how we made the connections and cross connections for economic development in the long term when we come to talking about ROI on a project like this. And as an outsider, just seeing this, I was very impressed. I think the one-sided, just the design compared to when I was involved with the university in 19th Street in Tacoma, if you're familiar with that, it's a similar type of project. But the interconnection of the waterway, the parking down the waterway, the beachfront park, and then 223rd being a project that's going to be highly pedestrian in the future as a complete street, that gets people from the waterfront up to the downtown. So now you have a pedestrian connection. You turn that corner, you walk down, then 227th is a connection back down to Anthony's. That's a long-term goal, but a key piece of infrastructure like this as the keystone to initiate that and create a downtown flow in a circular pattern, much like we did that in Tacoma. It's very successful between, you know, the Bridge of Glass and the Esplanade on the waterfront, and getting people up to Pacific Avenue and doing the big loop. I think this is like a really key piece to that, like, you know, similar to other projects I did with Waterfront Connection. So I think that the ROI, looking at this in a snapshot in time for just this one project would not give the project justice. If there's a vision to connect it and make a larger circular pattern, do improvements to the waterfront along the marina where public can have better access up there, and you can make that circular piece and bring the traffic, the foot traffic from the marina up to the downtown and down the downtown with shops and themes. I think this is a spectacular way to kick off a long-term project like that. So that's just I'm a newbie. And I know there's a lot of issues around different things going with this. But from my standpoint, I think it's an incredible project. And I think that looking at it from just this parcel or just what we're losing from 12 parking stalls or whatever versus the corridor you're creating could be problematic. That's my thoughts and my advice.
Okay, I'm a little confused. You said just losing 12 parking spots.
Well, are you talking about these parcels, these spots here? Because there's also a lot of parking already over on this side.
No, my understanding, the parcel A runs from the corner of where 223rd comes down over to the condos.
Where we have the vacant lot
So,
right now.
so basically the open spot to the north of the steps, this is all parcel A.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, my concern is that one of the problems it seems that we have with the marina is, lack of space actually, that in order to maximize the potential earning power down there, that, this is a key piece of property that could be producing revenue.
You're talking about the
Parcel A.
junkyard kind of area that we have down there? It's fenced in where we just keep,
That's parcel A, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, but when you say a junkyard, it's only a junkyard because
because it hasn't.
been developed.
Yeah,
Okay.
development for
Okay.
40 years.
I guess my problem is, and this comes up in general with regard to expenditures like this, is that we have ongoing problems with the budget. And because we are capped at 1% increases, that we're going to continue to have problems with our ability to collect taxes. Okay. We need to have projects that are producing revenue. And in order to, overcome that, otherwise we're going to have to keep falling back on issues of levy lid lifts, that sort of thing, in order to just keep pace with inflation. We need to have some way to generate revenue, and I'm very concerned about the fact that we're eliminating a prime, potential for retail space down here. So that's my concern, but also, again, it goes back to the idea that, okay, we've gone to the public, they've told us, this is what we want conceptually. Now we're coming back and we're not checking back with the public and saying, is this what you meant? So that's my concern.
You don't mind. I mean, you said it best. There is gonna be a return on investment because it accesses the downtown. This is where we can control what we can control. It's about the amenities we control that drives the investment and development downtown. In addition to that, we've looked at where the harbor master's office is as another potential retail spot. And we're talking about the adaptive purpose building as well in the future, which is also gonna bring retail. We've even talked about relocating SR3, and then we've got the potential in the south end, the marina. So there's lots of places. You're trading one spot for another, but you're gonna get interest and you're gonna get development. This is something that draws people to the community and will bring their dollars here. And as we work to the passenger ferry, the electric, and all those kinds of things will be the model. It's gonna bring even more people through. So it's gonna generate the revenue, but it's gonna also, at the same time, provide an excellent gathering point for our families and our community. So it's a win-win.
Is this gonna be brought to the entire council? And
We have-
when?
We have an item on tonight that I'm sure will generate some discussion
Okay.
based on this conversation and some emails I've gotten from other council members. So, yeah, then we can put this information, we can put that out on the website or however we want to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, that does it for that item on the agenda. Next item on agenda is the CIP projects update.
Okay, thank you. So CIP updates, Midway Park acquisition, and I'll start this off by saying that I have not been involved on a few of these items. Unfortunately, some of their staff is out of the office currently and unable to be here. So with that, the Midway Park acquisition, Nicole Nordholm has been working on this, and other than what she's got here, that's about as much as I know on the project, unfortunately. Cecil Powell, play equipment.
I
if you
can
could-
handle the next two. I've been checking out how the park going is. Cecil Powell's looking really well. I was out there the other day taking a look at the contractor. He's on schedule to complete it. We had a little bit of a slow startup, but he's catching up and making up time. He's doing really well. I think it's gonna be within budget and everything looks good. You know, we did have an issue with the playhouse equipment. Oh, excuse me. The field house playground equipment. There was a bust between the contractor and one of his subcontractors whereby the contractor the in-ground slide was done by grade under the engineering drawings, but playgrounds work by degree, not grade. So there's like so they were off grade. So they had to go back, do a redesign. They've got the slide redesigned, and now we're trying to get the contractor back. He's got 20 working days since the stall on the fix. Don't think he's gonna be done by then. Our goal is to have it done. I met on site with the contractor and our project manager, Scott, last week. Our goal would be to have it done by the mid to end of September at this point. And so apologize for that delay. We're working on getting the contractor going as fast as we can.
Understand it's a construction site,
Mm-hmm.
and the slides are coming. Is there any way to, if in the dead time, to allow the children to play on the
So
equipment?
we actually looked at
shut it
that.
down for the slide
We loo-
installation?
Councilmember, we actually looked at that the other day, and so that would require us putting up temporary fencing all the way around, metal fencing. And we thought about that, the pros and cons of that with with Kyle. I don't know what he's in charge of that area for the parks. And the concern was if we put up even temporary metal fencing to keep them out of the construction site, kids tend to climb, construction fencing isn't very safe, and there's a liability there. So the answer is yes, we could, but we didn't think it was prudent to open it if it's just another 6 weeks and take on the liability of having kids climb construction fencing. And so that was the concern. We could take another look at that if you'd like, but I think we would come back to the same spot, our recommendation.
You know, my recommendation is if you could find a way for at least a temporary thing, particularly in the summer months, because it sounds like the install's gonna happen more in September, and the kids are out. There's, the problem is it's
No.
been a long
Yes.
range of time through all kinds of different situations. I just think, you know, based on some of the information I've heard, that they would love to, and I think they would understand and kind of cover that summer window and then move into, as the kids go to school, that become less relevant. But, yeah, if there's a way, I'd find it.
I will take another look at it.
That's just my recommendation. You do the job, and obviously our residents, particularly our children's safety, is the utmost, so that takes priority. But I think it might be a big win.
And I can understand there is some angst about how long this is taking. And so we're supposed to get a schedule by end of this week. And so if that schedule is longer, I will definitely take a look at that. If it's just another 3 or 4 weeks, we'll probably just drive through. But I'll give you contact information on what we think.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That'd be great. And then if you would like me to come out, help take a look at how we can set up construction fence, I'd be glad to
Okay.
make it more safe. I'm sure we got plenty of professionals on staff, but
I got you.
another brain would be good.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
Is that all for number 3?
Yes.
Is that, oh, I just lost my screen, sorry. Oh, okay, so when you say number 3,
That was
Fieldhouse play equipment.
Okay.
Well, item number 3 was CIP projects update, and that was the field house. What about the Des Moines Memorial Flag Triangle?
So we are, I believe, about 90% on those plans, just working through some of the final plans with that one. And I know Mike's going to be likely taking that project on. We've had some staffing challenges with the project management of that project. So we are still trying to hit construction this fall. That's my only update on that one.
They've got me hitting the ground running.
I'm so excited for this project. It's been one that I've championed since I started on council, so I'm excited to see it move forward. I think the north entrance to our community has badly needed a facelift, and this gives it to us, so I'm very excited. And the fact that it's gonna start in the fall is awesome.
And Councilmember, I walked the site a couple days ago. I'm still walking a lot of sites right now, just familiarizing myself with the city. And I see that site. I think we're definitely gonna spruce it up, definitely make it look good. But with traffic control and entries of the city, I totally agree with you. I think there should be a long-term vision on that site. You do, because it's got weird angles, the lighting timing is different. It would loan itself to some really good opportunities for future grant opportunities to put a traffic circle there as the entrance and totally reorganize that intersection, because you've got that light, then you've got the Des Moines light, Kent Des Moines, or the River Drive 16th light down there. It's real, flow-through traffic would be a great improvement, that location. It would make a really great entrance point and give you a nice circle to do really things. So I think that's a long-term idea to look at and long-term capital, but sprucing up what we got there now and making it functional and making sure everything looks good is definitely well within what we have the ability to do now.
I'm not such a fan of the traffic circles. I think it's hard to adopt in here, and the property takes, but yeah, long-term, that'll be somebody else's discussion.
Yeah, absolutely, sir.
But a much greater improvement than what we have today and have had.
And the challenge that everybody has come to me about is that the yield sign is on the wrong side of things. So when you come off of First Avenue or right before Marine View Drive, the yield sign is by the traffic light, not by the oncoming traffic. So
Well, we could take a look at that too.
that's been a challenge throughout the years that I've been in the city, but anyways, Councilmember Oxiger.
Yes, do we have a report or anything on what the public's response was to the plans that were put out?
I don't. I was not involved on that one, so I'm not aware of what the public comments were.
Tyler was our lead on that, sir, so I can get you a report on that.
Okay, so, but we're not at any point now that we can't, understand what the public's response was and how our staff's response to the public's comments were before we proceed.
No, we're not. I mean, we're even looking at whether we're gonna bid this as a single project or maybe break it out yet. We're not, we're still working on it, so we can get to you.
Okay. Well, I guess my concern is that we set up these deadlines for when we want to start, and, that becomes the consuming issue is, can we start on time, on a timeline that does not necessarily have, any constraints on it, such as, funding or anything else. And I would always think that it would be prudent for us to defer to public opinion. These are their projects. These are the ones that they're financing. And, one of the things that we've been seeing is, I guess you could call it slop over from the argument on such things as having to deal with budget shortfalls versus, this type of projects. It seems like, okay, they're apples and oranges. They don't overlap. Yet in the public's mind, and when it comes to paying taxes, it does overlap. And so that's my concern, is that I think we're giving green light much too early, that we do need to have public feedback so that the public understands exactly what we're doing, not some general concept of what we're doing.
And sir, being new here, I've noticed.
I'm not placing any blame.
No, I get you. No, but I've talked with some of the staff. Had this discussion with Tyler the other day while Tommy was out with COVID. So, but even little projects, I think that there are some opportunities to do better outreach early and explanation and bring the community along with you. I've been through that a lot in my former position. And I think that we can do that. But much like the city manager said early, when you get to 60-90%, you're pretty much, those inputs should already be mostly in. But you still want to get the final check of approval, right? So I agree with you, and I think that specifically early on, we could probably do better job at outreach, and I'll try to be more transparent and do that in future projects as we bring projects online. I just think it's what the public expectation today for that to be brought along with the project versus what it was 10 years ago has changed immensely. So I understand the kind of pressure in your positions, what you feel when the community says, I didn't know that was going on. If they don't know what's going on, we just can't say, well, it's on the website. That's not good enough, right? And so been there, done that. And so I think we're gonna try in future projects to get the touch points much earlier, much sooner, and get out with the community much more, do things like, Rotary or other meetings, community meetings, and get out, be proactive in bringing those things out to evening meetings with the public. Those are tasks we gotta try to accomplish and do better at. Communication's key, and I'll try to do that in my tenure.
I just want to say thank you. That's, I think that's a very positive approach, and we'll probably invite, more buy-in on these projects by the public. And so I applaud you for the approach.
Something as easy as a 3-block stormwater project, right? We don't really contact it. It's viewed as, hey, it's just a utility project. We got to replace a pipe, right? Everyone knows we got to replace a pipe. But just putting a door hanger, when the project's funded, you're in design, put a door hanger out and hey, call us at this number if you have any questions. Somebody may be worried that their rose bush is going to get bowled over, right? And if we're aware of that before we start putting pen to pencil to paper, or click the electrons, whatever, we can make that happen. And so I think it's important to do that. I think we're going to strive to get better at that. Des Moines is a small city. I mean, I had a staff that did that in Tacoma, right? So it's a change in culture. It's a little bit of extra work, but we'll try to do it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Was that it for the CIP projects update?
Yeah, these other building facility project updates, Public Works has not been involved in, so I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, if there's nothing else from staff,
Yeah, both of us.
hold on. Councilmember Mahoney.
So I am interested in hearing in the future about what the Founders Lodge, what was found. I know you guys are reviewing it internally, but I know it's probably for a future municipal facilities meeting. But very interested in what really the cost will be.
With the seismic retrofit.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a riparian area with a historical site and all the difficulties that come with it. I'd really like to see what that means for the future.
Councilmember, I have not had time to read that seismic retrofit report yet, but I will this week. But I did get to read the one for Redondo, and that one, seeing what we could do with the existing pier, and there's just not much we can do with the existing pier.
Yeah, I understood that one.
So I'll work on this. I'll read this seismic report next.
This was where the beach park, because it is the difficulty with historical sites. Obviously, it's 5 times the money to do the same thing you could do elsewhere. Everything has to be done. It's just kind of for reference.
Well, I'll read the report and make myself familiar with it.
So I can provide a quick update on that. It's not bad. It's not as bad as the fishing pier.
Yeah.
Most of the work is inside, and so it won't really affect the stream. There is a little bit of stability that's required outside, but we are in discussions with Highline School District. They are interested in leasing that building for Maritime High School as a satellite campus. So as part of those discussions, we're gauging their interest in essentially in them providing the updates that would be needed to the building, because at this time we did all of the asbestos abatement. And so it's really kind of a blank canvas right now. And the size of the building is large enough for what they would like to use it for. And so that is definitely a possibility that we'll be meeting with them next month to continue those discussions, which might allow the school district to actually take on those renovations instead of the city, so that they can build it out the way that they would want to, and that we, obviously have a long-term lease agreement with them for that purpose. So more to come on that.
Okay, very good. Councilmember Oxer.
Yes, is it, okay, first of all, with regard to the beach park, is it possible at some time to get an update on what the status is of Sunhome Lodge? As to whether or not, that's something that we're looking at, actually doing some work on that, bringing it online.
I don't know that that's on our work plan to talk about. So, city manager, if it's not on the work plan, can we take a look at that and see when it's possible, either this year or sometime next year?
Yeah, well, I guess, we don't have any funding for it. It's probably on our CIP somewhere, but I
Right.
would imagine it's well down.
It's down on the bottom.
So yeah, that's really the status, is that we don't have any money to repair it.
There hasn't been ability to, there's no resources for grants and funding from outside sources either for the
Yeah.
building. That's been the problem. I think somebody applied for several $100,000 and they gave us 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they want the open spaces like the RCOs, right?
Yeah, so that's the update, is it's on the CIP to be rehabbed, subject to funding.
Okay, with that, you mentioned RCO, but does that cover the historic preservation? I mean, the grant,
RCO is
the grant
understood
opportunity.
for open space. This is renovating historic buildings, which there seems to be a very shortfall of funding. That's where, for example, where Soundview Park is. Restoring the building, when it wasn't a historical designation, we couldn't even get any money, and a lot of other entities have struggled to get money for restoration of historical buildings. But if you open the space up, like procuring of Midway Park and so forth, there's all these kinds of grants because they want these play spaces for children, and then they also in BIPOC communities and so forth. So that's, from what I understand, has been the struggle, is there really isn't any money at this time for those types of things. And honestly, as far as priorities in the city, I see a lot of other things being greater priority right now. So I've understood that, and I think that's where we stand.
Okay, and the other thing was, can you, I'm sorry I missed I'm not sure what the reference it was that you were making with regard to the Redondo Pier project. Is there some new information with regard to the feasibility of making repairs there?
No, sir. What I did coming in, I'm trying to get caught up on our facilities that are in bad shape. And so there's a 2019 Redondo Pier seismic study that was done when it was taken offline. Is there anything we can do to maintain public access, at least on part of this? And so I read through that report from 2019, and not 1919, 2019, and it does not look good. That we would have the ability to open that pier safely to the public. I would not recommend it in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, you're talking about the current pier?
The current pier, correct.
But we're in the process, when you say the current pier, isn't the grant to totally rebuild the pier?
It is, but while we go through that, I was.
So you're saying no temporary opening of it?
Yes.
Okay.
I looked at the temporary opening of the existing bad pier, because we have a 2019 study on that, just as the new guy saying, okay, what is the issue with the pier? So learning the background.
Yeah, well, thank you for clarifying that. That was, I was confused as to, what we were talking about. So, okay, I apologize.
That was a long shot on my part. I had asked Mike to take a look at you know, recognizing what the bid came back at and what our budget is, I asked him to look at that report to see if there was any possibility of, you know, could we do some Band-Aid patching in order to open this for several years while we, you know, do what we need to do, get the permits updated to rebuild it. And it was a long shot, and the answer was no. So,
Not surprising at all.
Okay, sorry, okay, so I guess I'm confused as to, is there a possibility now, other than the fact that, yeah, so I mean,
There's no possibility.
it's going to be built. I mean, the new pier is going to be built, and all of that's in line, we've awarded the contract.
no.
Or we're going out, I'm sorry, we've awarded the contract for the restrooms. We're going out later this year for, you know, to rebid on the pier itself.
So,
So, but basically what you're telling us, it's all or nothing.
correct, yeah, doing the old, there's nothing we can do with the old pier at all, even the
Okay.
temporary piece, that's, except remove it. So where we are right now is that our contractor is Exeltech, and they are the design firm. Now, between the way the permits were written and it was designed to meet the specific permits, made constructability very difficult, right? So that's why the contractor's bids were so high, is our belief, at least portion of that, plus it's just a very expensive project, right? The permits make the way we have to meet all the environmental permits to put them in, it makes it very difficult. So we're gonna do, Kai is setting up an appointment with Exeltech where we're gonna go and we're gonna go through what are the options, basically, you know, make a flow chart on, okay, so these are some of the reasons why these costs are high. Should we take a look at maybe saving money and opening a permit, maybe seeing if we can get some movements on permits? That might take some, making some let the permits less strict, or make them more in line with each other so they don't conflict each other as much. And then if we do that, we might be able to bring costs down, right? That might take extra time. We don't know the answers to those questions, or is there a way we can change the design to make it easier to build within the constraints of the permits? So, which would probably be the faster way to do it, but may not drop costs as much. So we don't know the answers to those questions, but now that we have focused on getting the bid for the restroom out, and the restroom is separated from the pier, we're gonna start focusing on the pier here in the next several weeks and get those answers, and then we'll figure out what we're doing, what's the additional money we may need, what's going on, and then get the project out. That's the goal. It's one of the high priorities that the city manager has given to me as the starting guy.
Thank you, very informative.
Yes. And we'll probably have more bidders now that there's less projects coming online right now,
That
And
might be
that
beneficial.
and that we broke things apart as opposed to making it.
Yes. We're hoping.
Big project.
We're hoping so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you very much. Well, if that's it, we've come to the end of our municipal facilities meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, staff, for all the time.